The St Michael Line is the name given to a prominent ley line that crosses England, from Land's End in Cornwall to Hopton on the Norfolk coast. In 1925, Alfred Watkins, an amateur archaeologist, published The Old Straight Track, in which he observed hundreds of locations around Britain where sacred landmarks or buildings such as churches, wells and stone circles appeared to be located along straight lines, forming an earth grid or energy matrix on the land. These locations were often near towns with the suffix ley, such as Burnley or Crawley, hence the name leylines. Stoke Mandeville Hospital is sited on the St Michael Line. Jimmy Savile funded and helped design the spinal unit where he was given his own flat despite regulations forbidding such things. Savile was proud of his connection to Stoke Mandeville and held regular fundraisers for his beloved spinal unit, which usually involved pounding the old straight track. Stoke Mandeville is also credited as the birthplace of the Paralympics. Researcher Chris Street has spent many years mapping dozens of sacred sites in a 20-mile radius of London. His results formed a 20-pointed mandala known as the London Earth Star. It takes in such landmarks as Westminster Abbey, Tower of London, and both the Olympic Village and Wembley Stadium, with BBC's Broadcasting House as its centre point. From its inception in 1967, Radio 1 was based in this building, and in 1968, Jimmy Savile, who famously claimed to have invented DJing, was employed to help subvert youth culture, along with Chris Denning, Alan Freeman, John Peel, and Dave Lee Travis. Perhaps the vibrational energy at the centre of the London Earth Star somehow helped focus the subversive doctrine of youth programming before its transmission over the airwaves to the nation's teens. The road west out of London is an ancient trackway known as the Hidden Unity Ley Line, or more recently as the A30. Its start point was the City of London, and it can be followed out west, passing through many interesting locations. 25 miles down the Hidden Unity Line, a roundabout in the town of Staines-upon-Thames is all that remains of an ancient stone circle known as the Negin Stones. A few hundred yards from the Dow's site of the stones is Duncroft Manor, the now notorious girls' school still under investigation by police into Savile's alleged abuses there. A further 20 miles along the line we find the A30 changes its name to the Devil's Highway, immediately outside Broadmoor Secure Hospital, home to notorious criminals such as Peter Sutcliffe and Ronnie Cray. Savile, unofficial entertainments officer and regular visitor to inmates at the hospital, kept a small flat on the grounds. In Glencoe, Scotland, Savile's secret lair and holiday home was located within an ancient supervolcano known as a caldera or cauldron. Here is a photo of Savile, the vampiric energy beast of the north, at Glencoe casting a spell with a wand in his right hand and in his left hand imparting magical energy into the key of the only residential property in Glencoe through the use of a magical mudra. Glencoe has also been used as a location for 2 James Bond films, and Bond's creator Ian Fleming once owned nearby Dalness Lodge. Leeds, the birthplace of James Wilson Vincent Savile in the north of England, has long been associated with the occult and is said to have been an ancient ritual centre. But due to the increased levels of negative energy in the city, some researchers have suggested that Leeds may be in fact a hellmouth, or portal to hell. It is believed that in these places, the veil between our world and a hellish underworld is thinner, which can be used by a skilled warlock to channel negative energies contained within the portal. Jimmy Savile was born a seventh son on Halloween in Leeds. Was his birth the result of a carefully planned ritual to bring forth a demon into the body of a man? Incidentally, one of Peter Sutcliffe's victims was found outside Savile's Leeds residence in Roundhay Park. 6 miles from Whitby are the Ramsdale Stones, an ancient circle of which only 3 stones remain. According to the comprehensive blog on Whitby, The Real Whitby, Savile and his Scarborough set known as The Club held naked rituals in the stone circles on the moors, such as the Ramsdale Stones. As well as at an increasing number of NHS hospitals, Savile seemed to hold the position of house doctor at both Broadmoor and Stoke Mandeville. He also acted as self-styled psychotherapist for troubled girls at Duncroft. He had a keen interest in the pioneering reconstructive work of the spinal unit at Stoke Mandeville and in some of the country's most criminally deranged minds at Broadmoor. In short, he was interested in broken lives, broken spines, and broken minds. Did Savile purposely single out vulnerable victims as he knew they would be easier to control and manipulate at his will? And was he also interested in repairing and rebuilding the human body and mind? Savile claimed in a recently released police report from 2009 that he paid for and opened the spinal unit, and it is well known that he was given a set of keys to Broadmoor where he could come and go as he pleased. Was the placement of Stoke Mandeville, Broadmoor, Duncroft and Broadcasting House on powerful ley lines or over energy centres a mere accident? Or were they placed specifically for someone like Savile to harness and manipulate the subtle forces that flow along these lines? We know it is claimed Savile performed satanic rituals in the basement of Stoke Mandeville and that he danced naked at the mouth to hell in Leeds. Was he also utilising the negative power of serial killers and psychopaths at Broadmoor and of troubled teenage girls at Duncroft? And the biggest question of all, for what purpose could Savile have been using all this energy? It has been said elsewhere that he who controls the ley lines controls the land. Was Savile, the royal wizard, super spy and Solomon, Saturn incarnate, wielding this energy like some kind of Jedi or Sith and influencing not just individuals but also whole populations and world events? And was it his hidden power that prevented his arrest and enabled him to get close to such influential figures as Margaret Thatcher and Prince Philip?
Savile ruled the screen in The Magical Age of Television. He was the hypnotist in the corner of the living room, a wizard of the cult of celebrity, Uncle Jimmy, Mr. BBC. With his northern charm, he was everyman, and at the same time a fiercely individual eccentric who could eat fish and chips with the locals and have tea with the Queen in the same day.
You could say it took the work of many white wizards from around the globe and their collective magical fractal cone of power that is the internet to thwart the Dark Master Savile, who famously forbade himself from entering the realm of cyberspace. Savile had the popular press under a spell, but once it was broken and the reality-bending revelations of his sordid lifestyle were exposed, they briskly moved on. Whilst the BBC were busy deleting emails and shredding their archives, the online community continued their research, reporting and presenting further revelations about Jimmy Savile's life. Since the release of the beta version of this documentary back in March 2013, the authorities have stepped up their assault on the internet. The McAlpine bait and switch blitzkrieg on Twitter, as well as David Cameron's ISP porn wall, are blatant attempts to censor and disrupt the continuing investigations into the real perpetrators and establishment figures responsible for Pedo Britain. some of whom under scrutiny are members of Cameron's own political party. And the compulsory opt-out porn wall will not just prevent access to porn, but also to esoteric websites and forums such as our own and the David Icke Forum, which has been instrumental in the continued research and exposure of Savile's exploits. Using state-of-the-art data analysis tools, armies of independent researchers are gathering and analysing every aspect of Savile's life. His acquaintances, cohorts and enablers alike are all being scrutinised to ascertain their involvement or complicity with Savile. The innocent ones will be weeded out and exonerated, but rest assured the perpetrators will be brought to justice whether by the police or through trial by internet. So, as the authorities draw in their net, the net is also drawing in on them. And if David Cameron really wants to protect children and destroy the culture of pedo Britain, we suggest he starts with the skeletons in the closets at number 10, which is his lawful duty to protect the people of this country. He would do well to remember that one human brain is still vastly more powerful than all the world's supercomputers put together. So imagine what 1,000 brains can achieve, using the internet to work together. We have gathered a lot of the information in this documentary using the internet, and give nothing but thanks to the many armies of diligent researchers online, such as those at the David Icke Forum. Whilst we don't agree with everything discussed, we respect the tenacity and courage in seeking to find answers to the questions we are left with in the aftermath of a national scandal that goes to the core of society.
We are Legion.
The truth is out there.
May the Force be with you.